Call this meeting to order. Welcome, everybody. Pleasure being here with you all. First item, business is the old business in the 64 Main Street. We received the bids for the proposal that was sent out, and the building committee reviewed them and discussed it at length the other day. And Anna is going to represent the group just so that she could start it in one direction.
So as Mayor said, reviewed the bid. We received two, one from BCA for $5,400 with an alternate $1,000 that was a bit unclear, and a bid from Barton Reviews for $9,700. We reviewed the bids. We agreed that actually the lower bid did not meet the requirements of the RFP, or at the very least didn't demonstrate how it did. In that respect, if there were a recommendation, it would be for the $9,700. Having said that, I think our committee stopped short of a recommendation because our discussion, as the mayor said, it was extensive, and we really ended up unable to identify how we would use the building if we were able to repurpose it. So to give you some sense of that conversation, the village, doesn't see a good staffing configuration that would separate staff, for example. So we can't sort of identify departments on the village side that we would send in that direction. We discussed moving the police department. That would certainly provide additional space, but 64 Main would still need to be demolished. The building, the size, etc., would not be suitable for the police department. And even if we moved the police department, all that would address is the space issue, or potentially some of the space issue, but not the larger issues that have to do with, the health and safety of the employees. We discussed moving court, another sort of big component. But again, the size of 64 Main is not satisfactory at that existing footprint. Again, we're looking at, even if the court was moved, that might eliminate some space concerns, but not the rest of the concerns. Still does nothing with this building. We discussed the possibility of moving the historian's office. In some ways that seems, like a lovely idea, but it doesn't seem realistic nor a constant. So basically where we ended up was that our committee doesn't have a sort of sense of how we would use that space, and therefore we don't know really how to move forward, and don't feel good about recommending that we spend $10,000 going forward. That's kind of where we are.
So what are you recommending instead? Like for this building? You said this building's not workable. Why would think that when we do that building, this would also have to be with it?
Well, we did look at this building for remodel, reconstruction, and that's why we were looking to move to a new space, because of the amount of work that would need to be done here. HVAC, it would have to be completely stripped out. The asbestos abatement in this building, with it being occupied, just makes it even more of a problem. So by reusing that over there, is our opinions that you're not going to gain anything really. You're going to gain some space. You still have the problems here with this building,
Which we haven't resolved.
Which we haven't resolved.
25 million is not realistic.
Well, it doesn't appear to be. It's about 25 million with what, about $5 million contingency. Is that about it?
The 25 million, 5 million of that
was contingency. Depending on what they run into. So we haven't resolved that. So no matter what goes over there, you gotta still deal with this. You're not answering any problems here. You know, we mentioned the police department. You know, if you use that space over there for the police department, it wouldn't work because it would have to be completely redone. If that space has been put.
It wouldn't have to be redone.
We'd have to take it down and start over.
You're saying mileage?
Yes.
You're saying that.
We don't see that as usable for the needs of a police department. You know, the footprint could work, but it's not gonna, it won't meet the needs and what has to happen. And then, the other area we had looked at anyways, with the police department, was down near the fire station. But that was the one department that, from the village perspective, that was the one that we could probably, we're the most flexible. Everything else needs to be really together. So that's where we looked at it, and we discussed this, as Anna said, about, you know, the port. That isn't suitable for the port either, it's not for that. So it's all about the only thing we were able to come up with was the historian, and you know, it cost a lot of money to get that report to something.
No, I just have a question. In terms of, so this site plan approval, like $9,700, would it be, would the evaluation be if we make it with some renovation and some, you know, like what
We didn't ask them to tell us what should go in there. The board has to, or boards have to decide what they're willing to put in there.
9,700 does what?
It would tell us, it would tell us what the deficiencies of the building are essentially, right? It would tell us, well, yeah,
I sent the documents out to everybody.
I got it. I got it.
And B and L defined it very well.
yep, they. It would be for it would do a structural assessment. You know, sort of. It would be an architectural assessment. You know, looking for improvements that can lengthen the lifespan of the building, blah, blah, blah. Site and code assessment, planning level cost consideration.
The two boards directed the mayor and I to put out an RFP
I
to
understand.
see if it was structurally sound to be reviewed.
Right.
And that was the limit, right, of the
Not
RFP. No, because there was no decisions by the two boards of what we would use it for. But
But last thing you said, planning, what is that?
Planning level cost considerations, so, you know, sort of rough order of magnitude pricing of any of the repairs and improvements that are necessary to be used.
To use it.
Generally.
Yes. I just wanted to- The bare bones.
What if we, what I'm hearing all around, that building is actually in construction. Assuming that. Can we tear down?
But that may be a very real possibility, but we haven't gone down the path of trying to engineer it in that way.
when the study was done, everything was looked at, right? The plan, the partners were involved, really had good integrity in the process. We got department input, and then the committee, you know, reviewed, I think, 2 sets of lands. And you do me, we tried to tear it down a little. But because of the needs of the police department and the court, which are the largest, right? So for, to renovate that building, so say the study comes back and we renovate that building, you're talking millions of dollars there. To gut this building, you're talking millions of dollars. Yeah, and so
But
It might
that
be really
study was
fun.
done just this, the interior of this space.
I'm sorry,
And that study was done, was the interior of this building, not that.
not the interior, but
The
the,
footprint of this building in and of itself, we did not have in that yet, so that didn't come. So that's what I think we're grappling with, is how do we have that building? And, if I remember correctly in terms of last time we met, it's gonna cost a lot of money to take down, but what's the cost benefit in terms of taking that down and then dealing with the information that we have for this?
I believe the study was done in congruence with the 7 extensions that we offered to purchase. So, we knew eventually, and correct me if I'm wrong there, but we knew eventually that we were going to acquire that.
Mhm.
So,
No, we had a signed agreement, it's just a matter of getting the ducks in. So to speak. We looked at this building for what it would cost to remodel. And then we had some preliminary on what it would cost to build. And when we got down and started going into it, and really the big effect was COVID. And that really changed the picture all the way around. So, I would expect rehab of this building would still be, pretty penny. Rehab of that building was gonna cost, tear it down was around 64,000, 65,000. So, yeah, right around there. So, we grapple with, as Anna said, what are we gonna put there? Because until you know what you're gonna put there, how do you design or think about, how that's gonna be used? And then, and then you still gotta deal with this, because that's the bottom line, is, you still have to deal with it.
So I'm having real issues with this, is piecemealing this together without a long-term plan.
Well, the long-term plan, I think, was that, we were gonna.
Everyone at that one meeting, we 25 minutes.
Well, yeah, but, we haven't looking for possible funding. We haven't done that yet. You have to have a timeline before you can start down that path. And it's expensive. Over time, maybe those expenses will change. Or maybe then drift down a little bit, depending on what happens.
You're doing the third one, not fourth.
well, before COVID, it was 11 million.
And that's really what started to push us in that direction. Now, again, what are we gonna put over there and how we're gonna deal with it?
That's what I'm saying, that's why.
That's the real
why I think you have to have a long-term plan. So when you were gonna redo this building, and you research on this building, what is gonna, how's everything that's in here now?
All we're gonna do is redo it and try to figure out how to put in an elevator and make it more handicapped.
But you're gaining space.
We weren't gaining,
Just existing space.
Yeah.
we had.
and trying to deal with the infrastructure in the building, which is, it's not really healthy. Not really, it's not healthy. So, those are the things that we're grappling with. But the issue at hand is, do we just let that sit there? Or do we spend the money, take it down and wait for,
I mean, do you genuinely think that that building?
what's, I guess,
64,000.
or whatever, yeah, if that's still
Take
good,
it down.
still good. If that's even possible.
Well, because it's ever done.
Right. We're gonna.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
right,
absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
so.
It's gonna be more than
it
that.
was over that.
It was that before COVID.
That's just. 64,000 also include, building into parking lot.
It was, take it down, well, it had to do with asbestos abatement, take it down. I think there was, it may have included the foundation, I got it. But that's basically, you end up, cleaning it up.
It's just, if I remember correctly, we had intended, it's the RFP for demolition, asbestos proofing, abatement. If I remember correctly, town highway and. That was
There was some
Am I right,
discussion
John?
of.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So part of the question, can the plans be clear? You know, we did discuss possibly leaving the historical. We would extend that use to the use, same amount. We did some really, we did like that. So we talked about that because there is a large space in the proposed plans for the historical space, and I think it was like, I think we kept it at 1,700 square feet because that's, you know, accommodating space in there. So, you know, I guess we could look at that, but I'm of the, I'm just talking like for myself. We're still talking probably 10 to 15 million dollars. We have that, but we've got this book to move into. I, in my heart, feel half of you are should be the path we continue for the 30-some people that work in this building. They deserve the best. Our technology, you know, space, even the records management, the water issues. You know, and we're talking, okay, this building was built in 64. You know, we're talking visionary the next 50 years, you know. So, and the prices are just gonna keep increasing.
So that's what, many is that. So what we can do about building. Building.
No, we didn't come up with a recommendation.
We didn't recommend.
Because we have heard from.
well, our original recommendation was to take it down. And that was our original recommendation until we got going in a different direction. I still think it ought to come down. Again, that's my first.
I do think that this comes because it is exploring another avenue that could be an option. What I'm hearing is that going through this maybe it's not. Those are like competition. spending the money to see what we can use for. If we, as a group, don't.
Right.
That part of the conversation didn't happen last time, so I think this has been valuable, and so for a minute and evaluate and take a look at, you know, why we're doing things, but I agree, I mean, that for the go forward, what doesn't.
What we would be going toward. And our committee hasn't identified that, so if there are others on the boards who have ideas about that, then we could, you know, come back around to figure out, okay, do we agree with spending that money? But otherwise, we're spending money with no then what? No, so what? You know, and so if there's nothing, and I mean, I think, Jim, you know, in our last meeting, you said, you know, if we can come up with something that should go over there, I mean, that's a conversation we should have. I think the building committee had that meeting. We couldn't come up with that thing, so that's where we're stuck, you know?
It sounds to me though that you've thrown out a lot of ideas, very good ones, honestly. But the biggest point is the building isn't, it's just not suitable for what we need to do. So if it's not suitable for what we needed to do, then it is ridiculous to spend 10,000 to spend another 64. No question about that.
Well, that's where we're,
But that's
So
where we are.
in my money, you don't know. But we're not spending $74,000. And we're, I think,
That's.
Well, then we,
well,
then,
it is,
I
but
mean, I think it's a fair question, though. I mean, it's a fair question, and where do we go from there? And you know, I suppose that's where, you know, if the plan is, okay, we tear that building down, then I guess the building committee goes back at, okay, what's the next step to try to figure out what to do about this building?
but then you gotta clean slate. Now you got something to work with, right?
Right.
Because now you can really do whatever configuration you want.
Right.
Or whatever you want to use it for. You want to use it for the police department, and you can configure it, and add space left, right, up, down, whatever you need to do
Right.
to take care of at least a need in that respect.
So can we do that step without tearing it down, so we know what we're looking at, and then tear it down?
But we don't
Like, I
have to
think
pay.
that, I think what I'm. That's what I'm-
Yeah.
Right,
Thanks.
is to have a plan before we tear it down.
Yes.
We had a plan.
We have-
We all had a plan.
I understand, that,
So,
but COVID's happened and things have changed.
I still think it
but
needs
we
to come
already
down,
had the plan.
person, I think
Yeah.
it needs to come down.
And I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that, I am
It's
just
gonna
trying to
become a-
hear what is being said on the other
gonna
side of
become a
the table.
We had
I
a
can
plan to
excuse-
tear it down and rebuild. That was the plan,
Okay,
right? So now we're at the point. So what would change? If we just tear it down? I mean, maybe, go back to the plans and say, okay, what departments can we tear down? Do we want to keep the historian down there?
Is there a reason that we might want to rehab this building and build something over there, is I think what I was hearing Bob say. So I suppose that's another consideration that we previously didn't consider. But either way, the building would have, you know, pleasure.
so, but
But I'll be the first to admit, going through the building, staying there, no. It's bad. She's gonna keep. We said, I admit how I'm gonna look for any. No, just sitting there, but I heard my, and I'm just sitting there now.
I'm just trying to clarify what I think I heard you say. I'm not saying my opinion is necessarily, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here.
If we decide to go into a lot of what we want to do, okay, we have a lot of plan.
Very good.
It's not
That's my
the same
feeling.
plan.
We had the plan already.
Right, I mean,
But
part
it's not
of
the
the
plan
plan
that we have, is that it's not the plan. It's the money. And I mean, we need to know how much, what kind of resources. we have. And that's gonna drive the scope of your. Of it, right? And it. I don't know if we.
I can't hear you.
Okay, I just don't know if we should just do a sort of intensive financing. Like what are some of the financing options? I don't know, I can't help with this kind of thing, or- I mean, we cannot do any municipality that are making building like stunned by how much it costs. I guess that's a common. So the focus should be maybe more on financing. To say, we have a physical plan to even get tender. I think, you know, any multi-billion million dollar project.
Everything we've had, and then we've been talking with our economic developers, very little money, no money for municipal. That's not. The idea that there may be money out there in terms of grants is probably small. And, you're gonna end up finding. more money.
That means.
Can't hear you.
If there aren't any grant opportunities, we have to be really careful with this. Because it's,
And I believe,
but I appreciate this process and I appreciate lots of people saying, giving out options.
and I think this, correct me if I'm wrong, the municipal building was part of DRI applications in the past. I'm sorry?
We haven't included it in. It doesn't mean.
Yeah, just because it's in an application, I mean, that's
No,
what
I
ends
understand
up.
it, but think about it. So,
So, where do you wanna go?
Well, I guess at the end of the day, two ends. I'm not sure it hurts. Keep the building there for now. Not spending money. From a collective, let's figure out size-wise, what space is actually needed. And then, at that point, make a determination if somebody's gonna move out of this. Whether I think it's pretty space in that, but it's still pretty. Somebody put the place for it, and then make a determination.
I guess just a question, I guess. I don't feel about this. Is it worth having it as a placement for? That's what, I guess that's what I'm wondering. It seems like.
We were studying some of the idea to use the building, whatever we do, use out of that. Next 10,000 seat buildings in the use. I'm saying that, but we're not only spending 10,000, we've got to make this into the using. It's not a specific. You don't need. It's just a-
the issue. I believe there was a time when somebody did spend the night in there. And, you know, the other side was using it. What is it? I mean, we've had the building committee do the process, so I don't know if it's worth other board members to take it on, to reevaluate. Like building committee number 2. I'm just saying, we have spent,
I don't feel that way. I think the building committee
but if you're looking at other answers and looking at the configuration, you know, maybe we're not seeing. Or can we take the plans back and say, okay, how do we make it smaller?
Research is not on the, just two building numbers. And then those compare to this.
So we're not gonna award a bid. Are we gonna let it sit, or are we gonna take it down?
Maybe we should do it.
Consensus on taking it down?
Can I ask a question? Is the bid that was presented to us still not?
And Roy, I can't tell you. I might have to look at the number of days it's out there, it's maybe gone, but if you wanna, we decide to take it down, we will go back to the low bidder and say, where you at? That's what I would do. You know, I can't say, we may have to rebid it. But I think that was a decent framework for where it could be.
I think we might have to. do that.
But, you know, like, you might have to rebid, but I would also go back to the low bidder and say, that's still good. So. What's your feelings? Take it down.
It's still.
No, I think that's a no go. No go for me, I mean, about the rest of it.
The bid, you know, that,
If there is no identified thing. I just wanna make sure,
That's okay.
I'm the clarified girl today.
No,
Yes.
that's fine. So what are your feelings? Take it down? As we originally planned? That's where I'm at.
I would like to-
Well, the only thing I can do is go back to them and ask, to be their feelings or not.
Do you remember who
so we have, one bid here for. Total cost 52, it would be an alternate to
That guy is good at 64.
JJ, yeah. That is the logo.
we, pick it up at the next one? What we really plan to do and it's anything about it. You know, but I don't think that's what down the road.
Well, I think the idea was to get everybody's feelings that that's the direction we're going. If that's the direction, we'll contact the low bidder and see if it still stands.
And next month, they're not going to be accepting them. We're probably going to do that. We can do it. Assuming it's the same.
Same number.
I think if it's the same number, you know, vote tonight, to accept that bid would be appropriate, but you know, I can't hold them to that because that wasn't the term of the RFP.
And it's really best.
I'm not comfortable voting on that piece yet. I think we need to reconvene and, you know, Mayor, this would be, it's your turn now. To circle back and we should reconvene as a to bid or to.
Why can't we just do it at an individual meeting? Or individual meetings next month? Yeah, instead of having another joint meeting.
Maybe another thing.
That works. I guess in my mind, caveat is if it's the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Or is there a threshold?
The only thing I can do is I'll contact the low bidder and ask him if it's still standing. That's all.
But I need to remind the boards that we just went through this process and we didn't do the for the highway study. We did not go with it, so I guess.
So what do you,
I guess I would.
That's a different set of circumstances.
I came here thinking that we were going to talk about the $10,000 bid. Now we're talking about the $64,000 bid, and I haven't really had a lot of time to stew on it. I would just like some more time to stew on it. I mean, it's not what I plan on coming to you to discuss.
If you take that time and don't vote on it tonight, then what are we gonna do? Are we gonna do it together? Are we gonna put something together? And but that I think is where we. If we need to come together, again, it needs to be next month. It's also what I'm hearing is that waiting for 2 months doesn't make sense.
I think we can. I don't know that.
Any reason you?
no?
So I didn't like. It's the same.
Yeah, or if we're gonna have to rebid it. If it's not the same, we gotta go through the whole process.
That would be, we need to do it.
Okay, we'll move on now. Okay, under new business, pro-housing community program resolution, there were 2 resolutions that were circulated, one for the town, one for the village. If there's any questions about this, Lee is here to answer.
Can we just give a recap of what it is?
The governor, signed an executive order recognizing the mission and created a program to encourage communities to needs. As a data and community. In order to use these, there's 2 ways of doing it. In our case, we do it. We may not have yet seen it on the house of the road. We are committed to it. We have to reach to this valley as the past president. And our zoning rules are narrowed in the last 5 years of permitting. What it do is, it gives us preference in scoring and evaluation of certain discretionary funding grants that include the downtown revitalization of and the New York Research Program. Some others that haven't tapped into, but maybe in terms of capital fund, market, New York, Long Island, program, and critical program in the so there's something application that opened in August, there's something application in so housing is an issue from our team for a number of
What did you leave?
Motion to pass this resolution. Become a co-housing plan, that's a co-housing plan. Okay. Any questions? Is it on?
Same for you.
Second.
Any further questions? Okay. Any opposed? Okay. Styles Ave plan update.
So the contract has been reviewed, by the town attorney, and, there's agreement between Barton and Judas and the town attorney regarding the contract, so I think we're there. Just need to do one final read, and then that will be, this, it'll be signed, and then a kickoff meeting can be held to continue the process. Because there's grant requirements as well. So, Lee is the pinpoint, will be the pinpoint with that. With Barton and Judas, to start that study. So, once this is signed, the village will get a copy, and we will get a copy, and we can move forward. So,
Just, some wording, things, nothing substantive.
there was some things in there that Eric felt, weren't appropriate or needed to be changed.
Okay.
So, they were minimal, but important. So Barton and Judas were appreciative of that feedback, and they actually, have said we should have an acceptable contract template to use on future projects. So I thought it was good. So
So
Okay.
nothing
just
that
wanted to
affects
give
the
an
scope.
update.
No, right, that's
What's
what I
that?
wanted.
There's nothing that affect, no changes to the scope.
No, just, no, no.
That's really where I was headed.
No.
And so
You
is
said it in
there a
plain
time,
English.
sorry, is there a time, is there a timeline when, on the, like, are we thinking in the next month, we might be moving 2 months towards that kickoff?
Well, once it's signed, which I expect it to be done by the end of this week or beginning of next week, then we can move the Barton and Judas on the kickoff meeting. Right. And I believe the team has already met regarding this. What times has there been any committee with me regarding this? Anyway, it's been an ongoing thing, so. But for the purposes of the grant, you have to have an official. Right? So. I'm sorry, Lee? Sorry. Oh,
Okay. Website update, I know we're moving forward on that, who's, gonna give us a little piece on that?
I can do that. I actually, had a conversation with Heidi. The town clerk has been doing an incredible amount of work in the recent couple of weeks with, respect to developing the site map. So, website design is ongoing. We, approved preliminary design. That's ongoing in the background. Now our task is to address the site map, which basically means we're creating, what will be on the website and where and how it is organized. And that part is simple enough. The more difficult task is identifying and sort of, what's the word, aligning what's on our existing website with that website, with the new design. And why that is difficult is because there's at least something like 1,100 pages on our website. And many of them are not connected to anything. They're like zombie pages out in the
Zombie page.
so, we have, Sally and Heidi have been corresponding with a current provider to get, site map information. Heidi has basically created a list that she did of all of the pages, which, wow. And so what we have, sort of the process that we have, come up with is that we're going to identify who many of those pages that we possibly can. We are going to, for departments, we're going to give department heads the list of pages, the links to those pages, and we're going to say, what do you want to keep? What do you want to go? How do you want it organized? Tell us now so we can build it in. Essentially how that, and then the committee will take on everything that's not departmental and make those correct. So, I think that, I think that we're gonna, I think the village, I think Sally's gonna talk about that at a department head meeting. I think Heidi's gonna hold the meeting. So how it actually rolls out will roll out over the next couple of weeks. But that's the process, that's what we. Yeah, we're, our updated website, there will be, contact forms so that the public can say, hey, I need to send a message to superintendent. They can do that, right? So we're going through and creating those kinds of, directories, yeah, and such for the company, so they can set all that stuff up in the back end. So hopefully sooner rather than later, what we're gonna be saying to y'all is it's time to get trained. Hopefully. But that's where we
This is
are.
the big.
This is the big one. This is the big one.
Not easy.
Having been part of. organization. Get migration. So.
You're looking at it like, yeah, right on, yeah. And she does it in color. Yes.
Anything,
Color coded is.
anything else for the website? Down there? Next item was comprehensive plan oversight project. We did meet, recently, get a framework together. The first meeting with department heads would be, November 28th?
The core team met.
Core team met.
Over 16, and first meeting with departments, November 28th.
And the core team we illustrated, what that was based on what MJ Engineering sent out to us. Mary Ann and I, deputy mayor, deputy supervisor. And we'll go from there. We'll meet with all department heads, planning board chair, zoning board chair. There'll be a lot of input and opportunity for input is moving forward, but that's where we're starting.
A lot of our folks are new since the comp plan, so, some introduction to it, some input gathering, some updating,
So that'll all be part
A
of
lot
it.
has changed
a lot has changed.
since then.
Solar.
Yeah, we think that came out.
Farmers only.
Any questions on that, or Mary Ann, you want to add to that?
We're moving forward, which is a good thing.
Okay. Okay, I have two items for the village only. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead with those. Did you have anything else? Did I miss? I didn't miss
We
one.
need to go to executive session.
Okay, that's fine. For village, I just need authority to, do towing bids. I need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Anybody opposed? Good deal. Do that. Well, we just gotta get them out first. Then the resolution to award a bid for the Willow Island project. Who's gonna address that? Willow Island, or do you wanna do that? Lee? I mean, I think the recommendation came that the low bid was, that you were going to award. You did distribute the bid sheets and, some of the other information for you. They have made adjustments to the project so that some of our people will be doing some of the work and that goes towards our in kind. Lee?
The roads, we have been organized a couple of things. We decided to remove the meadow. So we can plan for
that will get us to our in-kind. Between that,
Between that. So, between the main.
that total number is gonna include then the minor street piece, right? The in-kind piece, the in-kind piece,
There's an in-kind for there, because,
okay.
the in-kind.
Questions for you on this? And then we need a motion to award the, bid to the low bidder. So, yeah. Second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay,
Mayor, may I just have one thing? Because this is going through the town books, right? And financial piece, Lee has put in two, reimbursement requests or just the one? Sorry. Okay. So we still haven't seen the first one, and that was what, 30,000? And that was the new one. So once that comes up to the town, we just really give it back.
Yep.
I just think you should all know that.
well, you're on record now that you're gonna give it back.
It's crazy that it takes so long. It really is.
In another state. Agency. This might is another program, another one, like, bring it.
So it's possible.
It can be done.
Can be. Okay,
Not by that agent, not by the
the town is gonna do an executive session, the village has no executive session planned. So I need a motion to adjourn the village portion. In favor? You two down there, Ann. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
So I'm gonna make a motion that we go into executive session because of litigation. Highway superintendent will be. Hi, Rob. Sam, I made the motion. Okay, about all the things. We're going upstairs. Okay.